So what if I told you there was this anime where humanity basically lost the war against its own creation, and then humanity itself got replaced by furries and hybrids? So pretty interesting. Well, that, my friends, is the premise of Shinzo, or Mushrambo, if you're fancy and watch the Japanese run. It's a sci-fi epic remix of Journey to the West, except instead of ancient China, you got post-apocalyptic Earth named Enterra. And the world, once again, is ruled by animal-human hybrids called Enterrans. And smack dab right in the middle of all this is a human named Yakumo, a young girl whose mission is to bring humanity back from extinction. And she's in a whole new dangerous world, but thankfully, she has 3 pretty impressive bodyguards protecting her the entire time. Up first, we have our hot-headed warrior with Goku energy, and by Goku, I mean Sun Wukong, and his name is Mushra, followed up by a water-controlling strategist named Sago, and finally Kutal, who is basically Snorlax if he got a voice acting gig and was also a lion man. And honestly, these 3 are all pretty strong in their own rights. But sometimes a conflict might just call for extra firepower, and when that happens, they fuse together to form Mushrambo. Because apparently every 2000s anime needed a Power Rangers moment, and you know what? I'm not mad at it, I ain't gonna lie to you. I am not mad at this moment because Mushrambo, that dude was pretty nice. I ain't gonna lie to you, he was pretty nice. But regardless, this group's ultimate goal was to reach Shinszo, beat the monsters, and prove humanity deserved a second chance. And here's the wild part. This all aired on Fox Kids like it was another harmless Saturday morning cartoon. But I promise you, Sonic X, the Power Rangers, or even Metabots, none of them shows was moving like this. There was time travel, cosmic beings warping reality practically, post-apocalyptic worlds, all on the kids show. You don't remember this. This is crazy. This is Shinzo. And I'm Remy, and I've been putting this video off since April. So, I just want to know if anyone's checked on Shinzo, and if not, let's. Because finally, we are going Shinzo. Man, I have been putting off making this video for a long time. let's get started. Let's get started. Okay. So when it comes to the origins of Shinzo, the anime originally dropped in 2000, courtesy of Toei Animation, the same studio that gave us Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and basically half of our childhood if we're being completely honest. It aired on traditional Japanese TV that eventually got shipped to the US by Saban Entertainment, who gave it the name Shinzo because it used to be called Mushrambo, but I'm pretty sure they thought it'd be confusing to kids if the main character's fusion form was named Mushrambo, but he wasn't technically the main character, but he's also the name of the show, so I feel like they changed it for those reasons. But that wasn't the only change they made to the dub version. They also trimmed out some heavier moments to make it fit a Saturday morning cartoon narrative, aka nothing too heavy, graphic, or serious sounding. So, if you watch the dub version, you didn't exactly get the full thing. But regardless of that, here's a really cool thing about Shinzo. It wasn't just another Monster of the Week kind of show. It was built upon one of the most popular stories in Asian culture, aka Journey to the West. And yes, before I get the comment saying, yeah, Goku was inspired too. Yes, I know, Dragon Ball was also inspired by Journey to the West. It's not new, but I just want to say for the people that didn't know, so there you go. And if we're being honest here, the parallels are egregiously obvious if you know where to look. Okay, so I've been debating about saying this because obviously I don't speak Chinese. So I'm going to say these Chinese names and you're going to hate me. You're going to say I said it wrong. I know this. We both know this. You've been here for a while. And if you're new, I'm sorry you have to find out this way. I suck at pronunciation. So I'm going to say this name and we're going to pretend I said it right. I'm going to put the actual spelling here so you know what I'm trying to say. But once again, I do not speak Chinese. So I'm giving it my best. You can hate me. You can love me. Whatever. I'm going to just do it. So there you go. Okay, post audio recording commentary over now. Goodbye. For example, Yakumo is basically Tang Songzang, the pure-hearted monk on a sacred mission. And Mushra, well, it's kind of obvious what he is. He's Sun Wukong. If the golden headband and the extending staff didn't give it away, he also kind of flies on a saucer that also could be the cloud. And Kutal is supposed to be Zubaje, the pig demon. Except in Shinzo, he's a cat, and also he's not on a whole redemption arc for being a bit too lustful. They did keep the glutton aspect, so that's pretty cool. And finally, Sago, who's supposed to be Xiao Wujing, the calm water demon. With that being said, the structure is pretty much the same. One fragile leader, 3 supernatural guardians, and a dangerous westward journey. But instead of a Buddhist, monsters, and celestial trials, Toei swapped them for Enterrans, genetically engineered human-animal hybrids that are running a post-apocalyptic Earth. And that's where Shinzo gets weird. It wasn't just mythology anymore, it was mythology smashed together with 90s sci-fi trends like gene splicing, transformation gimmicks, and card games. And I said this a little bit earlier, but even the trio's ability to form Mushrambo low-key kind of feels like they're being either a Power Ranger Megazord or Voltron. Like, Toei wanted to ride the whole Mecha Power Rangers wave without actually making mechas and or Power Rangers. And this is where Shinzo came in, oddly enough. And honestly, because of this, I think that's what made this stand out so much to people during the era of aggressive Pokemon clones. And the one who decided to make this happen was, once again, Toei Animation. One of the most influential studios in anime history, founded in 1956, with roots going back even further to Japan Animation in 1984. With all this, it didn't take long for Toei to quickly establish itself as a giant in the anime industry. And over the decades, the studio has been behind some of the most iconic and globally recognized anime ever made, including Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, One Piece, Digimon, Slam Dunk. Toei has been a trailblazer when it comes to shaping entire genres. For example, in 1966, Sally the Witch is credited as the first magical girl anime, and guess who was behind that? It's Toei. And not only that, its early Super Robot show laid the foundation for countless mecha series to come. And if we look past the already super impressive catalog, Toei has served as training ground for some of anime's greatest creators. For example, legends like Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, who would later go on to found, Studio Ghibli, kind of indie studio, you may have never heard of them, they both got their start at Toei. So with all this prestige and impressive history, you don't really ever expect them to fail. However, when it came to Shinszo, Toei didn't exactly strike gold. Despite the studio's pedigree, the series struggled in its original Japanese broadcast slot, because Shinszo aired at the same time slot as Hunter x Hunter, which, wow, I feel so bad for anyone who worked on this anime and had to go up against this behemoth of a series, because you were losing. There is no way the underdog was gonna win in this circumstance. This was a David versus Goliath situation, and Goliath curb stomped David so hard that he had to run to America. Like, oh my gosh, no. Because what? Hunter x Hunter is amazing, and it's not even close. Like, in the future, I'm only gonna tell my kids about 3 anime series, and I'm gonna make them watch all 3 of these. It's going to be One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, and Hunter x Hunter, because you just can't miss with those 3. And my glazing aside, poor Shinzo, dog. It just could not compete. And well, that led to low ratings, and Shinzo ended at just 32 episodes, which is honestly a shame because it didn't reach the level of Toei's heavy hitters, granted, but this show remains a fascinating piece of Toei studio history, showing how even the industry titan can sometimes stumble when the universe is working against them, because Hunter x Hunter, man, is just unfair. It's like, what are you supposed to do against that? Like, what? But let's talk about key staff related to this project now. Like most Toei Animation projects, Shinszo was a product of team effort, guided by several key figures who shaped the story style and the sound. The name Izumi Todo isn't an individual but a collective pseudonym, used by Toei Animation for many of its original works. Much like Toei companies' use of Soboro Yatsude, the alias represented the studio's creative staff rather than a singular creator. And under this name, Toei has launched other iconic franchises such as Ojemara, Doremi, and Pretty Cure, making Izumi Todo less of a person and more of a creative banner for Toei's original productions. Now, when it comes to the director, you have Tetsuo Imazawa. A veteran in the industry, Imazawa has worked across numerous anime projects as both an episode director and a storyboard artist, bringing in consistency and pacing into the series despite its shortened run. And the writing for this story can be credited to Mayuri Sekijima, who once again made the narrative framework for Shinszo, who also handled the series composition. And as head writer, they crafted the overall story and direction of the series. Their role was crucial in balancing the show's themes of survival, friendship, and adventure with the condensed episode run. As for character designs, that was done by Sachiko Kamimura, and it's thanks to her designs that the show has the look and feel that it does. From Mushra to background supporting characters, her design provided the blueprint for the animators to bring these personalities to life. Her work gave the series its distinct style and helped the characters stand out in the era full of visually competitive anime. But we can't forget about the music. The soundtrack was composed by Katsumi Hori, whose music gave Shinszo its emotional and adventurous energy, well, at least in Japan. Unfortunately, much of Hori's score never made it overseas, because when it came to the American English dub, it replaced the entirety of the soundtrack with new compositions, altering how Western audiences experienced the series. But on the flip side though, have you heard the Shinszo dub opening? Because, well, you know what? That's a banger. That's a banger right there. I ain't got much to say about this show that's positive when it comes to the dub work, But that opening, that's some chef kiss right there. But yeah, together these figures shaped Shinszo into what it was, a project with all the hallmarks of Toei's creativity. Even if it never reached the same legendary heights as the studio's bigger franchises, it still doesn't mean that Toei didn't put its best foot forward to some regards. And all that's cool, but I want to talk about the actual world of Shinszo now. When it comes to the world of Shinszo, it unfolds on a scarred Earth. Not to mention, it takes place centuries after humanity's downfall, and the planet has been renamed into Enterra, a realm now ruled by genetically altered beings that humanity themselves created. It's a post-apocalyptic setting, but one with its own strange beauty. Broken remnants of the old world sit alongside hybrid civilizations of animal-human warriors. So let's talk about it, right? So let's go over the rise of the Enterrans. In the distant future, humans engineered the Enterrans as living weapons to fight a deadly virus that could have been the end of humanity. But luckily enough, humanity survived the disease, but its creations did not remain loyal. Influenced and corrupted by the cosmic being known as Lanancuris, yes, cosmic forces were involved in this story, the Enterrans turned against their makers, sparking a catastrophic war that nearly wiped out the human race. And in the aftermath of that war, the hybrids inherited the Earth, reshaping it for their own domain. And well, that world is definitely kind of busted up. It looks like it's been through some things. Enterra is a patchwork of ruins, wildness, and strange civilizations. You have massive buildings crumbling underneath tangled vines. You have iconic land masses looking destitute. For example, in the first episode, we see the Statue of Liberty looking so disheveled it crumbles. It's made out of metal and it still crumbles like it's brittle, like it's been left alone for years. And they also destroy it completely in the first episode, so that's like a thing. I'm not saying you have to look deeper into that, but I don't feel like someone at Toei didn't like America at that point. You know, just like, I don't know, just like, hey, why we destroying the Statue of Liberty of all things? You know, I'm just saying, whatever. And me joking aside, the world is divided into territories all ruled by different Enterran tribes, insects, reptiles, and more. Each region reflects a trait of its dominant species. These alternating landscapes serve both as a battleground for our characters and a narrative milestone for Yakumo and her companions on their journey to Shinszo. It's some pretty cool visual storytelling in my opinion. And on a grander scale, when it comes to the world of Shinszo, it takes its apocalyptic setting one step forward by history itself being caught in a time loop in a sense. It makes you wonder how many times she has potentially gone through this journey because time travel is involved. And granted, the story never really hints at this being a multi-time loop kind of situation. That's just something I noticed they could have done if they had more time to stretch out the story. Maybe they would have went somewhere in that direction. It just leaves the door open-ended enough to like, actually, this isn't the first time she's been to Shinszo. She died the last couple times. I don't know. It's me overthinking about something, but I think it's kind of cool that they could potentially have done something like that. And finally, the key element of this world that we can't talk about if we're talking about the show Shinszo is, well, Shinszo itself. And not to mention, depending on what version you watch, Shinszo is different. In the English dub version, Shinszo is presented as a last great human city, a physical place to be reached. In the Japanese original version, it's more of a profound term. In Japanese, Shinszo translates to heart. It represents not a city, but a spiritual sphere in a sense. In this version, Yakumo's death, as she does die, leads to her becoming a part of the eternal essence, highlighting the theme that peace isn't just a destination, but something carried within, aka Shinzo's all about finding inner peace. In short, Shinzo's world is more than just a wasteland. It's a hybrid of mythology, sci-fi, and a spiritual allegory. It's honestly a setting where survival, rebirth, and destiny all intertwine, making the world itself a character in its own right, which is pretty cool. Once again, I'm really gassing up this show on certain aspects because, well, I think it deserves its flowers. Shinzo may not get the credit it deserves, or maybe it didn't earn it for you, but for me at least, I think Shinzo, on certain levels, is really cool, and we should acknowledge that. So now let's talk power, because the world of Shinzo runs on a blend of sci-fi mechanics and mystical rules, with its battles defined by transformations, fusions, and the strange afterlife of the Enterran race. These systems not only drive the action, but they also tie directly into the show's theme of survival, rebirth, and destiny. At the heart of every Enterran is a card, which granted, on paper, is super weird that you make life and somehow if they take enough damage, they become cards. Like, I just kind of wish I was in a room with the scientists. They're like, yes, we will make these artificial living beings, and we're going to put all of their data in somehow their soul, because there's souls in these cards, and they'll become the cards when they take enough damage. What is the practical application for this, you may be asking? It's cool. That is it. There's no science. This is all vibes, baby, just vibes. And you're like, okay, other scientists in the room, I agree with this main scientist. We all agree? Yes, thank you. We all did a great job here. Nothing could ever go wrong from this project. Things went wrong. Okay, joking aside, let me talk more about the cards. When an Enterran is defeated, they become data. Essentially, their essence crystallizes into a physical card. Once again, does that make any... I'm not gonna do this again. It's just really weird. It's really weird, and I'm trying to be chill about it, but it's like, who put money towards that ass? Whatever. Anyway, the next ability that the Enterrans have in relation to the cards is absorption. When Enterrans fight each other, the victor can consume or absorb another Enterran's card, inheriting the fallen foe's powers and sometimes even their physical traits. These guys, these scientists wanted to lose a fight. I'm sorry, why would you give any living creature this ability? These things could think. These things had adaptability. The moment you made enough of them mad, you had an army of... What? What was the end goal? What was the... Anyway. Another ability they had was resurrection. Because why not? A cool thing about Enterrans is as long as your card is intact, an Enterran can be revived. And as long as a card is never destroyed, you can just keep coming back. So, of course, humanity lost. What were you supposed to do against? All right, you got it. I'm really freaking out, but it's like, dog, what was the end goal with these creatures? I get it, fight the virus, but like, what? What was the end goal? I'm getting a migraine. Okay, I'm good. I'm chilling. But oof. And if reviving, absorption, and be able to become data wasn't enough, they also have combat capabilities, like hyper mode. I can't keep saying what's the end goal. What was the end goal, man? Because why would you ever... I'm clenching my fist as I record this. This is why this video took so long, because I was getting mad. Whoa, okay. A key feature about the Enterrans is their power comes from their ability to transform. For example, they get huge power boosts. For example, Mushra, Sago, and Kutal all become incredibly powerful the moment they transform, increasing their speed, strength, and elemental powers. Because of course they have elemental powers. What an amazing design! All these transformations reflect a user's core nature. For example, Mushra, blazing fire, and Sago, you've got water powers. And if that wasn't enough, these abilities can evolve even further. As the story escalates, Mushra pushes beyond his regular hyper mode to go ultra hyper mode, complete with wings and even greater firepower. You see, this is why there's no more humans. They deserved it. If this was their brilliant idea to do anything, these guys deserve to be gone. You don't deserve the Earth. This is so stupid. This is on so many levels. Making something this powerful with free will is insane. Like, what was the end goal, man? I'm finna rant. Y'all don't want that. I'm finna cut this rant out. I'm finna rant right now in my room and no one's gonna hear it but me, but I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna come back really composed in a couple seconds.
One eternity later.
Another really interesting ability that people in Shinszo had was the ability of combination. Fusion warriors, for example, like when Mushra, Sago, and Kutal merge, they become Mushrambo. A fusion so powerful, the timeline is not even safe from it. No, Remy, don't do it. Don't hit that rant button. I'm finna ult, dog. My meter is max. Oh, they don't want this. I like Shinzo. This part, I knew this part was gonna make me mad. I'm finna ult and just go crazy. Okay. And if that wasn't enough, there's even golden evolution. Because why not? They go even further beyond. It's fight the urge, don't hit it. They can manipulate time. Why would you ever make this? It's so stupid. They're so powerful. Why would you make these? Okay. Technically, they didn't make Mushrambo, sorta, but just, I'm finna geek. I'm finna geek out, and I'm finna get mad. Okay, compose yourself, dude. It's not that deep. It might be that deep. It's not that deep, though. Okay. Yakumo has abilities also. While her abilities don't allow her to transform or fight directly, she still has the powers of a guardian, so like she's got some celestial being powers in there somewhere. Does that explain what she can really do? Yes and no, but pretty much she's got celestial powers. And me being angry about the power system and the people involved aside, it's generally fun to see how the power system works in this world. Let's be honest here, transformations are like almost always cool, fusion's super cool, and transformation with golden superpowers is just Super Saiyan. So how could you hate this, realistically? It's just a good time. Enjoy the vibes, don't think too hard about it because you'll get mad. Just enjoy the cool transformations and the cool power system, because honestly, who doesn't love a cool transformation or a cool fusion?
The next day.
Hello, it's been a day since I last recorded this. So after that little rant on the power section, I genuinely was still kind of mad at the end of that recording. So honestly, I got up and just kind of was done for the day. I was genuinely kind of pressed. Okay, let's talk about the main cast and villains. At its core, Shinzo is a story about one human girl and 3 very questionable bodyguards, trying to save the world or what's left of the world. For starters, we have the last human in the first original timeline, Yakumo. She's the heart of the series, and the only reason she survived the extinction of the human race is because she was put into cryogenic sleep by her father centuries ago. She herself is generally pretty gentle, kind, and determined to reach Shinzo, you know, because she doesn't want to be the only human around. Which, in all honesty, a pretty valid reason for wanting to go to Shinzo. Then we have Mushrambo, the first and probably the most important companion. He's hot-headed, loyal, and sometimes reckless, but there's no one else you'd rather have in your corner. Mushrambo himself embodies fire in both attribute and ability. What makes him even more compelling is his hidden past, where we later find out in the series he used to be a celestial guardian who even gave up his own memories to silhouette the evil Enterrans, who was actually responsible for all the bad stuff that happened in the world of Shinzo. Next we have Sago, the cool strategic lizard Enterran with really cool water-based powers. He balances out Mushro's impulsiveness with his calm logic. Sago often feels like the older brother of the group in a sense, who's forced to think things through because if he doesn't, Mushro's gotta run ahead without thinking first. And finally, with the last of our core members of the group, we have Kutal, the lovable goofball of the group. Kutal is a lion Enterran who eats way too much, trips over himself, and provides a lot of comic relief. But when it matters, his Earth-based hyper mode makes him a force to be reckoned with. He's proof that the funny guy in the party isn't useless when the chips are down. And finally, we get to Mushrambo. This is where the trio comes together and to fuse into a towering warrior with practically unmatched power. In the original timeline, the fusion gets corrupted and is strong enough to destroy an entire city, proving that this is not just a force to be reckoned with, it's a force to be respected. In later battles though, Mushrambo would eventually get his ultimate golden Mushrambo form, that's a mouthful, and with this new form, he would stand in as the group's last line of defense against cosmic level enemies. And when it comes to the good guys, I gotta talk about these last two, Binka and Hakuba. They're not that important in my opinion. One is literally just like a car and the other one is just like a human girl from another timeline. They're cool, they do stuff. I don't care about them very much, so I didn't write much about them. And that's enough about our heroes. But for any good story, the heroes can only be as good as the villains they're fighting. And well, Shinzo's got some okay villains actually, with the 7 Enterran generals. The first half of the series is basically a road trip through a boss rush, where each general rules over a zone and all of our main characters have to fight their way through them, beat the boss, and go to the next zone. So conceptually, that's pretty cool. Like if this was a video game, I'm pretty sure we would like that. As a series, it's just okay. But what's really cool, at the end of the boss rush, we get the final general, which is Dark King Mushrambo, which generally is kind of a cool surprise because the ultimate trap card you had against any bad situation turned against you, which is pretty interesting. And now that the generals are out of the way and the last timeline's done, we got to talk about the secondary timeline and the actual big bad of the series, aka Enterrans. Once he was a celestial guardian, but he let his hunger for power consume him and in turn became, well, evil. And with his new evil nature, that led him to corrupting the original Enterrans into starting the war that got rid of the humans. He was so evil, in fact, Mushra had to seal him into a meteorite. How exactly does that work? Magic. Yeah, we'll go with magic. And just like real magic, this doesn't last forever. In the second half of the series, he becomes free after the timeline changes. And the moment he gets free, he's back to his original mission of just becoming the strongest of all time, which, you know, isn't the greatest motivation for being evil, but at the same time, he's the hero of his own story, I guess, so it's fine. But it's okay. It's okay. He's probably the weakest villain, I would say. He's very Saturday morning cartoony level villainy, so it's not serious, but at the same time, it's like, oh, the fate of the world, but it's like, yeah, I know it's supposed to be serious, but at the same time, you presented yourself in a way that I know this is going to be over in 30 minutes, and it's not that deep. Well, at least in the dub version. In the sub version, there's some consequences, but we'll get to that later. But those are the main characters of this show. So between the last human, a fireman, a lizard dude, and a lion man, this show definitely has a cast of characters that are somewhat unforgettable, and that is definitely one of the stronger points of this show. And okay, finally, we can talk about the actual plot of Shinzo. So let's break this down, because it's something. it is definitely something. Because the anime doesn't just give you one arc, it gives you two completely different journeys. So as I previously stated, hundreds of years before the main story actually starts, humans do what humans do best in sci-fi. They played God and created a race of genetically engineered beings called Enterrans. And big surprise to literally no one who's seen anything from the 2000s at any time in the future, because sci-fi going sci-fi, their creations turned on their creators and wiped out humanity. But before all the humans could be wiped out, one scientist sealed his daughter Yakumo into a cryosleep pod with one mission: wake up in the future, find the last human sanctuary named Shinzo, and hopefully bring peace back to the world. So with that set up another way, fast forward 500 something years and Yakumo wakes up from her sleep in a completely changed world. Now run by the Enterrans, she realizes she has to navigate this world to find Shinzo, but luckily she's not alone. She has Mushra, Sago, and Kutal to help her find Shinzo. And if you watched the video up to this point, you already know about those guys, so we will go on to the next point. Together, this group travels across the new Earth called Enterra, all to find Shinzo. Together, they face off against the 7 Enterran generals, who all rule their own territories like video game bosses. Once again, the boss rushes back. And so the group goes through every one of the bosses, slowly knocking them all down, all the way to a crazy climax where they have to fight an evil version of Mushrambo. And eventually the heroes do win, but here comes the plot twist. The final battle breaks time itself, rewriting history, and then starts Arc 2, the timeline shift. Now there's a whole new timeline where the war between humans and Enterrans never happened. Instead, they live together in peace, which sounds really good, right? Well, you'd be wrong to assume that. Do better about your assumptions. Now, no, in fact, because of this change, that accidentally reawakens the real big bad of the story, Enterrans, who was the celestial guardian who's been manipulating all the events of the series from behind the scenes. And the only reason he didn't show up in the original timeline was because his meddling had drained him of most of his powers. He was so weak to the point where Mushra could still live in a meteorite for quote-unquote forever, but it was forever in the other timeline. So in this timeline, he's good, and he's back, and he's actually not good, he's evil. And with his resurrection, this causes our crew to reunite one more time and step up for a brand new mission. Not just saving humanity this time, but stopping a cosmic level threat that could destroy the entire universe itself. So, you know, the show took a really big leap when it came to how serious the stakes were, from planetary to universe defining. So that's pretty big there, but you know, it's cool. And obviously the show ends with a final ultimate battle against Enterrans. And okay, side note, the ending of the original version and the US version are different because this made me laugh so hard on a rewatch. Yakumo dies in the original version, which, you know what, I'm not mad at, but it's just like, okay. Then you see the US version where she gets off screen. It's just like, I wonder if she's dead. And everybody's all like, I don't know if she's dead. Oh, Yakumo, that silly person over there, just maybe dying, but we don't know. It's just the way they handled it in the US dub is so funny. And then they cut to the end of this series, and Yakumo looks like a flat 2D image flying in space next to Mushra. It looks so bad. And to add insult to injury, right? They cut to a grave. It's implied to be Yakumo's, but they don't say it's hers. They're just like, oh, we found inspiration to go look for Mushra at the end of it. But it's like, she's gone. Guys, why, who are we lying? Who are we lying to right now? What is this? What is this? Okay. It just, oh, that ending, man. That ending just got, I was laughing so hard at the ending of this. Like, it's supposed to be heartfelt and emotional because it's the ending of Mushrambo's journey and all this, and I couldn't take it seriously at all. It got so bad when they were flying off into the sun, and I'm over here just crying because I'm like, what even is this? We finally found Shinzo. They're flying off into the sun, and oh, this series was something else, man. This was something else. And I even talk about the Celestial Guardians, man. They kept using this one PNG for these dudes. They just kept panning between. They just kept panning on the one PNG. I can't. Oh, this was an experience and a half. Man, this was something, man. This anime was something. And I hate that I feel like I had a different takeaway than a lot of people who probably are nostalgic from it, from their memories. Or maybe they rewatched it and they liked it either way. Just for me personally, oh man, I like the concept of Shinzo. I like elements of Shinzo. I like the designs of Shinzo. Just as a package, I get why Shinzo didn't last very long. I really understand it. Like I said, maybe the original Japanese version was better in certain regards, but the one we got in the States was just a hot mess at times. And that ending is genuinely one of the things that brought me the most joy in a while because of how bad it was. She turned into a beam of light and then flew off into a side. Oh, I'm crying. I'm actually crying. Oh no. Oh, I'm gonna keep it in. I'm gonna keep this in. Oh, it's so bad, dog. Oh goodness. Okay. Whew. Recompose yourself, man. All right. Outside of the anime itself, Shinzo had a couple cool side projects. First up, there was a manga adaptation, only 2 volumes, but it still had one, which is pretty interesting. It ran in Comic Boom Boom from February to September of 2000. And here's the interesting thing about the manga. It changed the ending entirely. So in the end of this one, Mushra and Yakumo get married and have a daughter, which, I'm gonna be honest here, it's not as funny, which is a shame, but it's taken more seriously and the tone of the manga is a bit heavier overall. But I'm gonna be honest here, I think the US dub is the best version. No ending is topping that ending in my opinion. Maybe that's just me. If you read the manga, let me know in the comments, tell me how you feel about it. But for me personally, that US ending is legendary. Okay, and now we can finally talk about the actual US dub airing, because it's a bit different. The Shinszo dub is clearly peak 2000 Saban entertainment, because if you grew up around the time and watched Power Rangers or Digimon, you already know what they did to it. The music and sound changes. First off, the original Japanese score, I mentioned this earlier, it is completely gone. Sound effects also gone. Everything was replaced for a brand new American-made soundtrack and freshly cooked up sound effects. Basically, they said, Americans don't want this super somber, melodramatic, serious music. Give us a guitar riff. So we got guitar riffs. And you know what? Depending on who you ask, that's a good or a bad thing. But for me, I think it was a good thing. I like the guitar riffs. They're pretty cool. They knew their target audience, and I was them. I was the target audience. You got me. Hey, you got me. I like me guitar riffs. But it wasn't just the audio that got changed. Obviously, when it comes to most US dubs, the visuals and the storytelling obviously got put through a blender. The violence obviously got toned down. The mature themes got cut out. Entire scenes sometimes just deleted. Dialogue changed. Motivations got simplified, to say the least. And to make matters worse, if you watched the US version during the original airing and felt confused, don't worry, that wasn't because of you. It's because they were editing the mess out of it and cutting content. And if that wasn't bad enough, it gets even messier here. The dub was originally supposed to air on Fox Family, but when Disney went in and bought Saban Entertainment, they rebranded everything into ABC Family. And that corporate shuffle delayed the premiere of the show by an entire year. And when it finally aired, the first 17 episodes were on ABC Family during the summer of 2002, but then it disappeared for 3 years. It was just gone. And American kids were just left hanging mid-story wondering if the world ever got saved. And it wasn't until 2005 where the last 15 episodes finally aired on Jetix, the action block of Toon Disney. So yeah, fans had to wait several years just for that ending. And you know what? High key, that may have been worth it. That ending was amazing. That ending was amazing. Ah, that ending, man. It's so great. But realistically, waiting all those years for the ending must have been torture. Imagine being an Attack on Titan fan, getting the first season, and then having to wait years for the next. Oh, wait, no, that actually happened. That did happen. And it was a horrible feeling. So I understand that people were actually mad during that airing, because that felt garbage. I hated that one. Attack on Titan, bro. What even was that gap between seasons? That was the worst. But regardless, was Shinszo a success or was it a flop? Well, it depends on where you were watching it. In Japan, it was a flop because Hunter x Hunter bullied it because it's Hunter x Hunter. Why would you ever want to watch Shinszo when Hunter x Hunter was airing? It's like selling lemonade outside of a Starbucks. I'm just gonna go to Starbucks. Honestly though, I don't even like Starbucks, but you get what I'm saying. But on the other hand, when it came to the US version, it actually did pretty good. It found a new audience, and no doubt thanks to the edits and the guitar riffs. Look, I'm gonna say this again, that opening is so good. Like, what even was that? One of the strongest points of this show was like, whoa, 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 we're going Shinszo. Like, come on, you can't hate that. You cannot hate that opening. That's so good. It's so simple, but it works. And that's probably why so many people still think about this show. I genuinely like aspects of Shinszo. The transformation, the bright colors, the Saturday morning energy, it really clicked with me as a kid. And as an adult, I'm a bit more cynical, but besides from that, it's still fun, even if it is just to talk about it. Like, do you see the length of this video? This is me talking about Shinszo. If I didn't actually like Shinszo, this would not be this long. So, regardless of my nitpicks and me laughing at certain aspects of it, Shinszo honestly has a very special place in my heart. Because as dumb as I think it is kind of now, genuinely kid me loved the mess out of this show. The intro, the colors, the transformation, everything about Shinszo rocks. So no, Shinszo clearly isn't in the same league as Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon, but its weird mix of sci-fi / Journey to the West left enough of an impression to stay in people's minds and for it to become a cult classic. It's the kind of show you mention in a group chat and then someone goes, oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that show in years. It's a fever dream, yada, yada, yada. That's the funny thing about Shinszo. Because, well, it didn't conquer Japan, but when it made its journey to the West, it became the kind of underdog story that you never really forget about. And well, that's Shinszo. It's a weird show from Toei that got overshadowed in Japan, but found a second life in the West. During this video, I've talked about the studio that birthed it, the creative voices that shaped it, and the post-apocalyptic world of Enterra, the wild card system, the card system, and of course, the cast of heroes and villains that make up that world. And my conclusion is this. Whether you call it a flop or a cult classic, the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not a failure, but it's not a total success. It's not amazing, but it's worth remembering. It's a story about war, revenge, corruption, and an impossible idea of breaking a cycle. It's about 3 Enterrans and 1 human girl who, despite everything stacked against them, keep choosing to protect life instead of destroy it. It's about second chances, even when the past is ugly. It's about redemption, even when the scars don't fade. It's about realizing that the heart, the Shinszo, is what ties us all together as living beings. And honestly, that lesson hit hard in the 2000s, and it hits just as hard in 2025. So whether you're revisiting Shinszo because of this video, or maybe you just remember everything from nostalgia, or maybe you're discovering it for the first time, remember this. Sometimes the real victory isn't about winning the battle, it's about becoming a light beam and flying off into the sun. Oh man, that ending, dog. Oh, hey, I gotta hit this. So, hey, I'm Remy. Thanks for letting me check up on Shinszo. I know this took a long time, but we got there, dog. Just like the show, it took a long time. So, like and subscribe and hype the video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all be easy. Later. Okay, so Shinszo, man, we finally did it. We were in the final correct timeline. That is a joke from a Digimon video. If you haven't seen the Digimon video, go watch the Digimon video. But yeah, this video was supposed to come out like 3 or 4 months ago, and I just kept pushing it back for a lot of reasons, like some life reasons, but for the real big reasons was because I didn't want to just completely clown on Shinszo, because rewatching Shinszo made me have a headache because it was something else, to say the least. It was something else. And I actually did like Shinszo as a kid, but rewatching it now, I'm just like, oof, this was rough. And when I tell you guys, I genuinely was sort of crying when I watched that ending because it was like, I'm sorry, what? You're doing this now? And the celestial PNGs, bro. Oh, so much about the ending of Shinzo is different, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but regardless, we're here now. The Shinzo video's out. This is gonna take forever to edit. I'm looking at the time right now, and I'm sad about it. But you know what? I hope this is everything you wanted. I'm sorry if my opinions differ from yours. That's fine. We're all individuals. We're allowed to have different thoughts about things, whatever's. Regardless, I hope y'all guys have a wonderful day. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. I'm so appreciative if you watched this long. Hopefully, the next series I watch, I won't just want to make fun of it to some extent. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all the fun stuff. Share with your friends. Hype this video. Whatever they tell you to do now for YouTube algorithm reasons or whatever. Y'all be easy. Bye.